And yes, what a beautiful thing this is to have a beautiful opportunity to talk to the lovely Jess Miller. So, welcome everybody to another episode of Uplifting and Illuminating Conversations, where I talk to people about their stories of their life and their struggles and their wins and what they've done to create the ability to survive, and more than survive, to succeed and to change their life. So welcome, Jess. I'm so delighted to have you.
Good morning. Thank you. It's good to be here. Very exciting, and
Very exciting. And
I
I'm just going to add a note. This is a first time for Jess, so I know she's feeling really nervous, like we all do when we think we're going out into the world. But I'd like to congratulate you for taking up this opportunity to share some of your story, because it does take courage. And I love listening to people's stories. And during these conversations, I'm hearing so many things about people that maybe I knew people, I had no idea. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we unearth from your story, Jess, about where you've been, what you've been up to. So I'm going to pose a couple of ideas for you. Tell me what you do when the chips are down, or when you're going through struggles. Do you think courage is important? What kind of things have supported you in your journey?
absolutely. I Nature especially has been my go-to. I've always grown a lot of herbs, hugged lots of trees, given lots of things to the universe. It's like I can't handle this, and give it to the universe, especially when hugging a tree and feeling really close to nature. And I thank the tree first. I don't just go up and grab the tree and give it a big hug, because I think that trees have feelings too. So I'll go up and I'll look at the tree, and in here it feels so tight, and you can't. You're at that point of I've got nothing. You know, you're in despair. So just looking at the tree and admiring how big and strong it is, and going up and saying, "Can I please hug you? Can you help me? Because it's weathered many a storm, and I've always felt that giving to nature, and being out in nature has been really, really important for my sanity. That's been the major,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah,
And, and
and
I
when
love
you grow things, and yeah,
Yeah, I
sorry.
love that, because often, no, you're right. Often, when we have other human beings around us, and maybe we're going through a rough patch or a tight patch, humans aren't, it's not always someone we need. That uh, serenity we get in nature, and that beautiful comfort we get from the Mother Earth. Or I live by the ocean, so I love the water, and I just have to walk across the road and go to the beach and take a few deep breaths. My whole energy can change. And,
Beautiful.
it's like the waves wash the worries of the world away. Well, a tree is also a beautiful, or any plants have beautiful energy that communes with us.
They do, that's
Mm.
for sure. And that's like in my garden, like growing in my garden, you just walk around, you look at, it takes you to a different way of thinking. Like you're not thinking about what's going on with you. You're, looking at the beauty that's around you. And, how can you not be happy when you see, oh, look, there's a new little flower, or, my little plant that only had one leaf now has three. And, it just takes you out of that, that moment that you're in. Because I find I'm bit uncomfortable with people being really huggy when I'm in a state of anxiety, or, like really sad. And, you know, because sometimes people can actually confuse what you're actually thinking and either exasperate it and make you more angry, especially if they're going, oh, yes, yes, that's something to be upset about or angry about. It can actually, instead of helping, it actually seems to how exasperate it. and make it worse. But getting out in nature in your own time, you have a chance to center yourself and to really see what you're thinking, and to sort of like, instead of, you know, something that might have upset you that someone's done, instead of taking it on that it's a personal attack with you, that it's, you know, it's not that. And you can really deep thinking for me when I'm out in nature. And as you said, like the beach, I love going to the beach too, but you know, I'm more in the woods beside a stream, you know, picking up little rocks and sticks and bringing them all home. And then my partner's like, "Oh, I noticed you're bringing rocks and sticks home." I'm like, "Yes, I've gone to therapy today, darling."
Yes, yeah, exactly. I love that. So because we
Yeah.
know, we know more and more these days that everything carries energy, and as we commune with nature, we're communing with that uplifting and supportive energy that nature can give us. It makes me think of times when I had, excuse me, young babies, and you know they'd be fussy inside, or you couldn't settle them, but pop them in a carrier and go for a walk outside, or just sit under a tree and they'll watch the leaves blowing in the wind, or taking them to see a flower or something can totally shift the energy, because it takes you really outside of yourself, doesn't it, and gives you another perspective, really.
And it ignites all your senses. It just doesn't ignite
Yes.
one sense. It ignites all your senses, your vision, your smell, you know, your earthing at the same time. It's I just love earth. I just think nature is just the most amazing. And then when you go into the intricacies of nature, like I was lucky to live up North Queensland, and the animals up there, all the insects are huge. Like the bugs, they're just huge. Like a cockroach, I had one that was like this big, fly in, like it was huge. It would have been like about 4 inches long, and just, oh my god, they're the spikes on them are absolutely ferocious. But that wow, look at that. It's like looking at these creatures under a microscope, you know, but you're seeing these big like stick insects that are like this big, like huge.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
I like insects and bugs, you know, they don't really scare me. So to me it was a fascination. And then just how we all, you know, like procreate, you know, like flowers, how, you know, just when you go into the intricacies of it all, it's really quite and it's just makes us realize that what is going on with us is really quite insignificant in the whole scheme of things.
Well, it feels like we're only really here for a blip in this current lifetime in the scheme of things. It's quite amazing, isn't it? So,
Exactly.
Jess, tell me, I figure from previous chats with you that life hasn't always been smooth sailing, and you don't necessarily have to go into the details of things that
Mhm.
have gone on in your life. But what kind of things do you use to pull yourself out, or have you used in the past? What kind of things have you found effective in that transformation, or in that coming home to yourself, or in that gathering your strength?
Okay, well, I've had a quite a full on life, you know. Like I think I do have to go a little bit into it if you don't mind. But
You can
when
go
I was,
as far into it
you
as
know,
you feel
okay,
comfortable. Yeah.
okay, no, well, I'm comfortable with it all because I've dealt with all the things. But you know, I was molested at 3,
Oh,
and grew up in a small little country town where the perpetrators, which were teenage boys, never really, nothing ever really happened. Like mum and dad knew, but we just had to keep it a secret. You know, then there was other abuse that happened in life. I got pregnant at 15, married at 16. Um, so never really had a chance to come into my own as like a young woman, as into an adult. I went straight into being a kid to being a parent, which I loved. Like I absolutely loved being a parent, but married to a very narcissistic man, who uh, he had his own issues too. Like it wasn't his fault he was like what he was, but his upbringing, made him the person that he was. I only realised that recently. I'll get to that how, because there's a little bit of help with my little mamacita, from play and the courage of things that helped me to reach that full understanding. So got divorced at 23. Sort of like, and I actually left my children with their father, which was another persecuted. And the reason why I did that was because I did not feel worthy. I did not think they'd have a life with me. Like, he earned a really good wage. I had basically no education. Went from being from a little town of 70 people to Richmond, Victoria, which is like total culture shock. Being a bush girl to being a full-on right in the middle of the city girl.
Right in Melbourne, the big city.
Yeah, in Melbourne, in the big city. So that was a real cult, and that was at 16. And yeah, so, and basically, and all his work colleagues were all sort of like drinking Moe and driving Ferraris. And so Mum used to say it was like Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman. I said, "What, you're calling me a prostitute, Mum?" It's like, but she said like the difference of the lifestyles that I had was like full on, like flip the coin, total different lifestyle. And lots and lots of loneliness. Like, all my friends were obviously, 15, 16, and so they couldn't come and visit because they were in the bush still. So it was just a lot of years of loneliness and being told I wasn't worthy, and, the old narcissistic traits of it's you. And yeah, like, he wouldn't talk to me for 2 weeks sometimes when I'd done something wrong, and I didn't even know what I'd done wrong. So that, and it got to the stage where 7.5 years, and I stood there with a knife at my wrist, and I was going to, I was thinking, I'll go have a bath, I'll cut my wrist, I'll go have, no, everyone's better off without me. And as I stood there in the kitchen with the knife, I sort of thought, well, he's not, that my children will find me. He's not going to come looking for me, because he never did, and my kids will find me in the morning. That was the only thing that stopped me from ending my life. And that's when I decided that it was time to go. And, that wasn't fair on the children, because they were seeing it. They were saying, Dad's mean to you, and they were getting involved, and my relationship with their dad shouldn't impact their relationship. So I decided to leave, and he was going to quit his job, sell the house, and take me to court and make life very hard for me and the kids. So I decided to, little pathetic me, decided to just walk away. And so the persecution of a mother leaving her children was, I still people still don't understand that. And even like my eldest daughter Sarah sometimes will say, I don't understand how a mum can leave her children, but she does understand. And as you know, me and her are besties.
Yes.
So that was so I just sort of like started going out a lot, which my family was then saying I basically separated because I wanted to party and blow up balloons.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
obviously they were far removed from the reality of the situation.
Yes, well, we played happy families. Like, no one really knew, we played happy families when we were around everybody. And then basically as soon as we got into the car, it was like, do you have to like talk so much? No one's interested in what you have to say. And I'm like, well, they're asking me questions like, what do I do? And he's going, well, just don't say anything. Ask them something. They don't want to know what you're doing. They don't want to know about your life. And then he would say I'd had a drinking problem because I'd had 2 glasses of wine. And, it was a very, and at the end I'm like, why did you marry me? And he said, because I thought you had potential.
Oh, dear. So
yeah.
You have had a very trying time and sat so young. I can sort of, just listening to your story, I can see that it feels like you've gone from that wounding, particularly of that 3-year-old that never was acknowledged and not healed, and felt not supported. So I guess when you got involved with someone, there was this connection and you suddenly felt supported. And I know that's what we do when we've got something missing in us. You know, we're always looking for that, and unless we do that healing within, we are then.
And I knew him, like I knew him from a little girl. Like his parents went up to Woods Point where I grew up, went up there on holidays. So this is someone that didn't just come into my life. This was someone that I had known for 10 years, I guess you could say.
Yes.
He was like my dad's best mate. Him and Dad worked together. Like he's a very good man. He's just not. He's an all-rounder except for human communication. You know, like that was really lacking. And you know, because he had a really bad upbringing with no, you know, role models or anything. So his trauma made him, you know, a narcissist, which that's what happens, you know, like post-traumatic stress and trauma as a childhood turns you into a, you know, narcissistic behavior. But I don't think it was ever done out of, you know, like anything other than that's what he knew and that's how he fed his life. So yeah, it took me many years to, you know, work that out, because he was 7.5 years older than me, and the first time we sort of were intimate, I got pregnant. So I think I think if that didn't happen,
Yes.
but that moment, like I knew like straight away afterwards, and I was like, I'm pregnant. It was really strange. Like it was like 3 months before I turned 16, and I'm just like, I'm pregnant. And I smoked back then, and I actually like tore up my cigarette packet and chucked it out. Thought, no, I'm pregnant. I'm not smoking. Like, which was because I hadn't even had any confirmation. This was just my head saying I'm pregnant. So.
You knew.
And I was. So the moment that I knew, it was never a case of I don't want this. What am I doing? It was always like, I'm pregnant. I'm having this baby. So it wasn't like I felt forced into doing something I didn't want to do. You know, so I think that was the course of my life. I don't regret it even now. I'm thankful to him for, you know, giving me the opportunity to be where I am now.
Well, your compassion and your understanding of how it all played out really amazes me. I know I've been through traumatic times in my life, and for me, I needed to understand why they happened, and that really helped me to come to terms with the whole thing and my place in it, and help me understand how come I got, would you say, you know, drawn into this web of unhappiness. It's quite extraordinary. So, you know, bravo to you, because I've met you more in more recent years, and I know that you've had some things go on in the past, but you've never seemed to me to be a person who's got that poor me edge about her. You have always really basically owned whatever your part is in this whole dynamic, which is quite extraordinary. It's
I have to
fantastic.
say, the community that you've created, Kay, has really helped with that. Like, I think it's been about 2 years that we've known each other now, that I first saw you on Spiritual Events Directory, and you know, just I think that's been the shift that I've needed to push me into another level. You know, because it was all sometimes in the background, sometimes it would come out still. You know, even my partner of 10 years, I've been waiting for him to elbow me when I hop into bed at 3 o'clock in the morning because I can't sleep. I've been waiting for him to yell at me when the dishes aren't done. I've been, you know, and for 10 years, and I've still been waiting for this, you know, this reaction to happen, and it hasn't happened. He'll just come in and cook dinner. If it's not cooked, he'll just, and then go, oh, dinner's ready, you know,
Yes.
and I'm sitting there going, mate, go like very. So that's also helped me heal too.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
know, yeah, it's an amazing thing when you find someone who, you know, and he hates a messy house. He can't stand a messy house and a sink full of dishes, but he'll just like just do them and doesn't tell me off or anything.
Oh, isn't that wonderful? And that's
Maybe
really
once
helpful.
a year he'll let it out once a year and go and yeah. And I just let him, and I just go, yeah, that, you know, because you really in life have to face the darkness inside you, you know, and
that.
yourself. Yes. And you know, so I was doing a little bit of shadow work because, you know, I think when you're interested in herbs, like I've always been interested in herbal healing. I've always had lots and lots of books on that sort of thing. It's like I've got so many herbs growing in my garden. It's like, you know, little herbal pharmacy out there. So, you know, like herbal teas, and also spiritually enhancing, wanting to enhance myself and not wanting to have the sort of life when you look at people and they're always like, oh, I'm this and I'm that. And I had a major accident in 96, which I got 2 fractures in my spine and broke like 15 bones. And, you know, so my body's sort of broken.
Yes.
Um, and you know how I've dealt with that, in a lot of pain as well as emotional pain. Here I've got this physical pain, and then there's this, why me, why is this happening to me, what have I done, you
Yes.
know? So you
Yes.
want to seek answers, because it's like, because every time I healed from something, something else would happen. Like it's been this lifetime of, you know, like when I was 5 I fell on top of a cupboard that was open and I've only got little legs, so the full force was like,
Whoa.
and the nurse said they weren't sure whether I'll be able to have children because
Oh,
the impact was so massive. But obviously I had 4, so it wasn't a problem.
yes.
You know, and you know, like I'll get bit. I got necrosis from a white-tailed spider bite that I, you know, didn't want to take antibiotics for, and the doctors were really quite concerned, and you know, ended up healing that naturally, which gives my body a more natural thing. And then I got bitten by mosquitoes. So I got Barmer forest virus, which is like Ross River fever. So I'm like this little like walking, talking, and then the emotional like relationship stuff, and you know, so I had to work out a way of dealing with this in a really proactive way instead of like dealing with it in a, oh, woe is me, poor me. Because when you're sad and when you're upset and when you're angry, you hurt more and you're more emotional. So you get on this slope of, you know, and I want to live life. Um, you know, that's why I'm up here instead of Melbourne, because of the cold down there. I was like this little old lady at 26. So when I was 30, I moved to North Queensland, and oh my God, the heat was beautiful. You know,
Yes.
but there was still something that was stopping me from, you know, like, you know, not psychiatrists or anything. Like I had friends that, you know, you could talk to and stuff, but there was always this block of trying to get to the next level,
I think
you know.
it can be difficult with a challenge with friends because they know you, and you know you probably don't want to be judged, and there's all sorts of things. And then there can be some friends who just want to come around and bag out the other person, or you know, rather than, you know, I know that I prefer to be around people who are uplifting and not into the blame game, so that
Yep.
you can open the door. Because if we get stuck in that blame, it takes us down that, I call it that negative spiral of, you know, into depression or into negativity. And we
Mhm.
need people around us that are going to uplift us and
Mhm.
raise us up and above and out of whatever trauma is going on in our lives. And I really was delighted to hear you say that, you know, since being in our beautiful oil community, that you have been able to, you know, be supported with that different perspective of what you've been going through. And I didn't quite realize the impact that our connection has made for you. So I'm really
Mm.
delighted about that.
It
And
has,
that's
and it come around at a really good time too, when the world was very uncertain of what was going on too. And I've got a really wonderful friendship network. It's very small. You know, it's in a handful or two. And I've never sort of like been one to like really, really put myself out. Like I mean, I'm got foot and mouth disease. If something's going on with me, I am black. I will talk about it and, you know, have many conversations. And I've had like my friend circle has been very uplifting, and, you know, also spiritual as well, like people who, you know, like, hey, do an affirmation board, you know, do some automatic writing or a journal. So there's sort of like been that, but to shift the whole energy to a higher, you know, a higher level, because I was still getting injured. I was still, you know, things were still, you know, like physically happening to me that it's like, seriously, did I like, what did I do in a past life? Which then led me to spiritual directory and led me to you know, and then led me to
the oils. Yeah, you have to go the other way around. Well, that's a beautiful.
It's so weird. So la la la.
This is your beautiful.
And that, because herbs and herbal tea can do so much, but the enhancement and, you know, that extra, like, fully, oh my God, like the first time I got the little box and I opened it up, and, oh, it was like I had a nose orgasm.
Yeah. I love that. I have them all the time.
Oh, I do now. I do now. And I've just noticed, you know, as time progresses, I want every single oil under the sun. As time progresses, the healing is absolutely incredible. You know, even like your kids have a cold here, put these oils on and the fever went. Like no Panadol, aspirin, Nurofen, anything like that. Just these oils got his 39 fever down to normal. And every 4 hours it would go back up. I'll just oil him. And he was laughing at me. He's 15. He was laughing at me going, Mum, you're an idiot. What are you doing? I go, no, I'm putting this on your feet. And, you know, and he was laughing at me as I was doing this. He's going, they're not going to work. So it's not like he goes, oh, this is going to, you know, he just thought I was ridiculous. And for 3 days, like, that's what I treated him with. And then he was back to being really annoying and out of his room. And
and you're wishing you kept your oils in your bottle. I love it.
Yeah.
So I think it's wonderful to have these beautiful oils in our homes. I call them wellness. I call them a wellness toolkit. So to be able to grab an oil is perfect for me. And my background is a lot like you, Jess, where I've always gone into the garden and picked herbs for forever now. I can't remember when I didn't drink herbal tea from the garden. So to have these beautiful oils, and now I'll drink herbal tea from the garden, but I might go, oh, I just want to add a drop of orange oil or some lemon or peppermint or something to give it that extra flavor is absolutely fantastic. So do you have a favorite oil? I know it's one of the questions we ask in our oil circles, and I'd like to know what your response is to that.
My favorite oil is frankincense. That's my I use that every day. You know, like mozzie bites and scratches, like cat scratches, because the cat likes to sit up on the shoulder, and of course sometimes she's claws in, and I really like how it also enhances your spirituality and helps you connect to a higher source.
Yeah, absolutely.
And bergamot, actually I love most of them. Zhang Miao or something.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Yes, like, which is your red lemongrass. I think it is Zhang Miao.
It's not one I use a lot, and when I hear people talking about them, I go, oh yeah, I must get that out. And every time I hear the use of that one, I will get it out and start using it. I was just trying to confirm here it is. This one, the affirmation or the spirituality support you get from Zhang Miao is to sharpen your intuition. It's it's calming and promotes that spiritual connection and that uplifting of the mind. So great one for meditation. So it's going to be a good strengthening oil. And that's the beautiful thing, that you can use these oils. To me, I just discovered things that were, I would call them my triggers, or things that I might have got upset about before. I those kind of things just went away. Did you find any of those? Do you find any of those things happening to you?
I do, and actually, just the other day, I forget the conversation, but it was about something like, with my partner, and it was about something that I've always been negative about, and always been like, meh. And I said it, and he like looked at me, and he's like, really? And I'm like, actually, no, that's not true anymore. Like, it was really quite I go, wow, I've dealt with that. Like, that's like, I was like, oh, excellent. That's another thing that's not a trigger anymore.
That's fantastic.
Um, yeah,
Mm.
very, very amazing. But the strength of with UK and your little oil immunity is it's not just, it's just so very supportive. And when you are speaking to other people and you bring the oils out, like I'm there and I've got a piece of paper and I will write down, oh yes, I want that oil, oh yes, I want that. And that's sort of a lot how I choose what oils I'm going to buy, because I don't know. And the education and the connotations that are behind them. And I never, when I first bought them, I was a little bit like, here's another lot of oils which I've used before and haven't never done anything. The instantly that I opened them up and I smelt them, it was like, this is really good quality. And I got others in between, and yeah, just the quality and the integrity. The story behind that, though, has always been this amazing integral story of, wanting the best, and if it's not good enough, throw it out. Like, I really like that. I really like that aspect, because to me, integrity, because there hasn't been a lot of integrity in my life, so to have that integrity and those good connotations behind me is really, really important. That truth, like the truth of things.
Yes, I love that. And I also love how you are acknowledging that you deserve the best. And to me, that's what Young Living does for us. It offers us the best quality of oils that you can possibly
Mhm.
get. And for us to actually acknowledge that is such a healing thing. And it shows that we've evolved into another level or another layer of ourselves. I was the same as you. Well, when I first had got my Young Living oils, I smelt them, and I hadn't smelt them until, I think, the same as you, until they arrived in the post, and I smelt them and I just went, oh my gosh, I could smell mine through the package, because they were different. They weren't packaged as sophisticatedly as they are now. And I was sold, just that first smell, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I had other oils at home. I'm not very good at throwing things out, I can tell you. And because I always think there's a purpose for everything. But eventually, I just couldn't pick up any of my old oils, and I stepped into a whole new way of life, where I have oils all around the house at the moment, and next to the bed, in the bathroom, in the kitchen. This is my little space here where I go live, and I just have oils everywhere, and they've just become such an integral part of my life. And I love passing them on to grandchildren. Are you near your grandchildren? Do you?
No, they're not near me. But
Yes,
then Sarah uses the oils, my
yes,
daughter.
yes,
And my son, he's in Melbourne, and they're on a little bit of a different path at the moment.
yes, that's okay. And we have to accept
That's their beautiful
people.
journey.
Yes, when we have to accept people when they're on their path, and that can be a challenge when we think we've got some answers, or I know I'm a mum, and even, yeah, anyway, you might suggest an oil, and they just sort of, they just no answer, and you just know, oh, I've overstepped the mark. because they're not
Oh no,
that
they like they like the oils. His
Yes,
wife, she's used the oils before.
yes.
But they're just, he's bought a new business and stuff like that. So it's not like a path of not, it's just
Okay.
a different
Yes,
path in life at the moment where there's other things that are a little bit more important.
yes.
So, but I found the best thing about the oils is when I go out and I work in disability, it also helps with the moods of people around me. So if
Oh,
I'm which is
that's
really
fantastic.
working. So it's actually helped, help in my workplace. Like some people are very anxious or something, so you wear the oils, like Zimbella or something like that, and you notice they're just calmer. And and sometimes I'll like I've always got Tranquil in my bag. There's a few oils I always have in my bag,
Yes.
and it changes some days of which ones I want to have in there. As I don't know, I just sort of like put my hand over them and sort of like, and I'll pick one up and I'm like, no, not you today. And that's, I don't know, it's like my body saying which oil I want. Um, but if someone's getting a little bit, agitated or something, I'll just get my little bottle of Tranquil out and I'll have a smell of this. I don't like, and
Yeah.
I've just got to put some of this on right now, and I'll just put it on. And sometimes, oh, would you like some? And oh, that'd be lovely, thank you. So and then all of a sudden that mood has dissipated, which
I
is,
love that.
mm,
I have a friend who was working in disability with some teenagers that were pretty heavy duty because of their scarring, as we're aware of these days. And she would go in before she entered the house where this girl was living. She would put frankincense around the frame of
mm,
the doorway, and did her internal work as well. And she said she always had a calm time, but other people didn't always have such an easy roster
mm,
or time with whoever was they were working with. So
mm,
she didn't go anywhere without her frankincense, and she found that was the oil that she went for to support
mm,
that positive energy. And it's a marvelous thing when we can turn things around like that, because people who are in a state of stress, that speaks volumes, because it really dictates how we're going to cope. It
mm.
dictates how we travel in the world. So it's so good to know that we can grab our oils, we can shift our energy. Like today, before I hopped on, I got my little Kid Power oil, which is in a roll-on. Now, this is one that Young Living produced for children. It's all ready to roll directly onto the skin, but I absolutely love it. So I love putting it on my wrists and around my neck. And it's one of the ones that I leave sitting here. So before I go online to communicate with other people, I'm feeling empowered. And when you use them with intention, it just brings you energetically into a beautiful alignment.
Absolutely. Oh, hang on. I've just got to plug my phone in. It's saying no battery. Sorry.
Saying, charge me up. So just like a phone needs charging, our bodies need charging, our minds, our thoughts, everything needs charging. And it's really up to us to make sure that we give ourselves the nourishment that we deserve. But interestingly, sometimes it takes us a while to realize that we actually do deserve the best things in life. Uh, and I loved that that was part of your realization in your journey too, that you talked about earlier, Jess. You talked about you realizing that actually, no, you did deserve to have good things, and you did deserve to turn things around. So I think it's you've done a great job. I look forward to seeing that, because I don't think you're the kind of person who is stagnant, and so I look forward to
Oh no,
seeing your journey.
I'm wanting to level up. Definitely level up, and I'm really looking forward to the symposium that's coming
Oh
up.
yes. So
Mm.
next year in 2023, we will be heading to an event in Melbourne. Oh, sorry, it'll be on the Gold Coast in Queensland.
Okay.
and we will
Mhm.
be all getting together then and having a great time to learn more about oils and all the beautiful things Young Living offers for us. And we'll be meeting lots of good speakers, and you'll get to smell all the oils there because I have
I can't wait. I
all of
can't
them.
wait to just have all the oils there, and I can imagine I might have to take grounding or something because I get a bit, you know, I was at the gem show on Saturday, and I sort of like got a bit, woo, oh, there's
Yes,
just so many crystals. I'm all like, woo. So yeah, and I start flapping around and sort of like get into this, you know, because I think I'm a really funny person, you know, like I laugh at myself a lot, and people laugh at me a lot too, or with me or at me,
yes,
and you know, so I tend to, when there's like a lot of stuff like that, you know, it ends up like I'm just end up woo. So you
yep.
might have to put your hand on me and just go, take a breath, Jess.
Take a breath, yes. I would be more than happy to be in your presence to be able to do that. So, well, that's pretty exciting, and yes, you can bring your grounding, and you know what I love about the Young Living events is, and I've been to several on the over in Utah where we have up to 30,000 people at a big event, and it's a huge conference area, and people will walk down the aisles, or you'll get in a lift, or go past in an elevator, and it's just like this whole diffusing effect, and you kind of think, oh, that smells nice, this smells nice, and your head's turning to work out where the smell's coming from, but there's like hundreds of people with oil, so it's a beautiful thing to
Do
experience
you
that as well.
do you get that when you're out? Do you get that when you're out and about, Kate? Because I get people just going, oh my God, something just smells absolutely beautiful, you know,
Yes.
and you know, and in the end, I'm like, I think that's me,
Yeah.
and they're like, oh, it is you. Oh my God. Like I got a friend who like actually buries her face in my neck and actually starts moaning like,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah,
do.
oh God, you just
Yes,
smell so divine.
I certainly do. People often give me a hug and, oh my God, you always smell so beautiful. Or I actually went to a hairdresser recently, and there was a client there, and she was finishing one client, and then when I sat in the chair, she said, what are you wearing? She said, uh, something happened to me when you came into the room. This whole calm energy came in, and that whatever you've got on, it just smells absolutely beautiful. And
Mm,
and I've kind of walk in, and you forget that you've got these smells on, because I think our noses get used to that's how things smell.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's just always so fantastic when other people can smell these beautiful aromas, and they get that instant connection with them, or that instant response. It's even a physiological response. One day I had a lady walk past my stall at an expo, and I had the diffuser going, of course, and I was just sitting there, just sort of watching her, and she stopped in front of my stall, and she stood still for a minute, and her whole body, physiologically, she stood up, she lifted her head, and her whole body realigned. And
Mm,
I said to her, you liked that smell, didn't you? She said, oh my gosh, I did. And I could just
mm,
see that was a really powerful physiological effect. And that's happened another time when a lady smelt some Valor, and she just smelt the Valor. She stood up, up straight, lifted her head, put her shoulders back, and basically there was this whole realignment just from smelling. And I
that's
find that
really
so
interesting.
fascinating. Mm.
It is, and I find fascinating, like you said, Bella, and like I've spoken to you about it before, that when I first got Bella, I did not like it, and I would wear it sometimes because I knew I needed it, but I didn't like the smell. And about a month ago, my partner, you know, he's been made floor manager, and he's, you know, so he's been really quite stressed, and I said, I think you need some Bella. And I go, and as I'm opening, I'm going, oh, it doesn't really. I don't really like the smell of this very much, but I think this is what you need. And I opened it and I smelt it and I was like, I want to drink this. Like it
Mm,
was really strange, like the massive shift from being don't really to like, oh my God, that smells so divine. But it's sometimes your body, if you don't like the smell of something or an oil, your body, that's actually what you're needing, even though
yes.
you don't really like the smell. And it was just real like, and you had said to me, you said, oh, well, sometimes blah, 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 blah. And when it actually happened, I was like, okay, so
Mm.
that's a real thing. You sometimes you don't
Yes.
believe things. You don't
Yes.
believe things until you actually experience. And I'm very like that. Like I'm very, I've got to see it and know it. And you can tell me whatever you like, but until I've experienced that myself, it's sort of like, okay. But it was a real, oh my goodness. And then I like smelt it again. And then it was like, no, and I'm like, no, and then I put it on myself and I was just like, oh, oh, I've got it on today. It smells so
Yes.
good.
Absolutely. So yes. So
But
well, what they
that
do is
was
they
really interesting.
yes, because
Mm,
we change energetically, and that's what that's about. So the oils bring us into natural balance and harmony, and when we they and it supports all the natural functions of our body. So because our lifestyles are so out of whack, or we've been through trauma, or bad experience, whatever has uh, affected us emotionally and spiritually and physically, well, that takes us out of whack. But when you start bringing the oils into your lifestyle, it brings us back into balance and creates harmony. And then we start functioning in so many ways, with ease, with grace, and with joy. So,
well,
Jess,
I sort of looked at it that I upgraded. I actually
yes,
upgrade, like I actually went up a level. Like when I smelt it and I liked it, it was like, oh, I've gone up a level. Because that's obviously working now, and I've gone up a level in my healing and in my spiritual side.
absolutely. And I'm looking forward to where this journey takes you and myself. And what I also love is that we create these beautiful friendships. And I love your little terminology of our oil community, and you've created this oil immunity word
Hmm.
for naming what we are doing together as a group of people who all love and share our love of Young Living Oils, which is really the key to what's connecting us. Oil. And one of my sayings is oil up, oil right. And so as
Hmm.
we oil up, everything's going to be okay. So, Jess, I am just over the moon to have you speak, because I'm sure 2 years ago this wouldn't have happened. And I'm saying to a lot of people in our oil community, come on, tell us your story about, share some of your story and talk about what the oils have done for you, because I think we all need, it's like you saying you need to experience something to believe it. Well, even hearing your story is just might impact somebody else. And I feel that you're one of those people who you don't do this just for yourself. You've got that bigger picture. And I
Hmm.
want to congratulate you for coming on today and stepping out of your
Thank you.
comfort zone and stepping into your courage and moving beyond the fear. My saying is feel the fear and do it anyway, or a lot of people say that. So, and something occurred to me this morning when I was contemplating coming on with you, and it was where there's a will, there's a way. And that's the message I think we could give to anybody who is listening, either to this live or listening on the podcast, anybody who is struggling in their life. There are lots of people who have struggled just like, or maybe different struggles, but we've felt that struggle. We know what it's like, and we're here for that, supporting anybody who needs. So reach out to Jess, or reach out to myself, or reach out to somebody, because you can turn your life around no matter what has happened, and it starts from within. And I
it's really I think it's, and that's why I want to be here, is it's really important, like when you see something that works, and you've been involved with trauma, and trauma could be anything, because what's a mountain to one is a molehill to another. So doesn't have to be extreme trauma to have severe trauma or anything. And like when you find something that really works, like I seriously would love to buy the company. It's like, oh, I love it so much. It is, it's life changing. Like it's absolutely like changed my life, like my health, all the little issues that I have, instead of being big issues that you end up going, I think I need antibiotics or something. It's stopped basically as it starts. And even pain, like the rubs and Panaway and stuff that you can use. It's so when you find something that works, and I don't like mainstream medical things, like antibiotics and stuff, which destroy your whole gut flora. But I'm actually in the process now, like the oils are great, but I'm now going to the next level of that too. So the Ningxia Red's coming next, in a couple of weeks. So
fantastic.
you might just watch this space, Kay.
Absolutely. Well, it's time to round it up. So thank you very much, Jess, for coming on board, and thanks for everyone listening. And look out for more uplifting and illuminating conversations with myself and other people who like to share their story. So from my heart to your heart, thank you very much.
Thank you, my mamacita.
Oh,
Oily mamacita. Thank you.
you.
Thank you so much.
And thank you to
Have
our
a great day.
audience.